Chapter 1. The Story of the Happy Giraffe. In a land full of animals, when giraffes become of age, they are given a tree. For some, the tree seems to have an endless supply of leaves. For others, not quite so many. One giraffe in particular was given just an average tree in an average plot of land, and yet he is known throughout all the land as the Happy Giraffe. He wasn't always this way, though. Let's go back to his first days after receiving his tree. The giraffe was so excited to get a tree. It was not too big, but not too small either. He was on his own for the first time and ready to take on the world. It was definitely a day for celebration. He ate a leaf from his newly claimed tree. It was so satisfying and exhilarating that he ate another, and another, and another, until he realized that his leaves were all gone. "What do I do now?" he worried out loud. "All my leaves are gone, and it will be weeks before my tree grows more." Overwhelmed by the thought of having no leaves, he slumped down below his tree and cried. "Why the long face, long neck?" asked an elephant passing by. "I am all out of leaves, and it's only my first day," the giraffe cried. "The leaves were delicious, but there wasn't enough of them." "Nonsense. You have enough leaves. You just need to be like an elephant," came the reply. "We never forget a thing, you know. We keep track of everything we've ever eaten and write it down. That helps us know what we will need to do for the next growing season." It seems smart. You can't know what you are going to need until you know what you've needed in the past, right? So the giraffe thanked the elephant, who went on his way. The next growing season, the giraffe took careful notes of everything he ate. Day 1, ate 4 leaves for breakfast, gave 2 leaves to the landowner for tree rent, ate 5 leaves for dinner, and gave 1 leaf to the bird in the top of my tree. Day 2, ate 2 leaves for breakfast, ate 2 leaves for lunch, and took 6 leaves to a dinner party. He was very proud of himself for being remarkably meticulous, just as the elephant had suggested. However, a short while into the growing season, he ran out of leaves again. How could this happen when he had tried so hard to do what the elephant said? The elephant was smart to write down everything he used, the giraffe thought, but it didn't help me plan for what I need now or stop me from using all of my leaves too soon. So how do I make it through a whole growing season? Distraught again, he slumped down below his tree and cried. "Why the long face, long neck?" asked a lion passing by. "I am all out of leaves again," the giraffe cried. "I tracked everything I did just like the elephant told me to do, but it was no use. I need to make it through the whole growing season, but I don't know how." The lion quickly and excitedly responded. "You don't need to keep track of every little thing like that. What you need is more leaves." "That's what I told the elephant," the giraffe said. "Then obviously you are a smart giraffe, and I have the perfect program for you. Just get your friends and neighbors to trade their leaves for this new invention. They will love it, and I guarantee that you will have more leaves than you know what to do with. Better yet, you can sign them up to sell this invention too. That makes you even more leaves without doing any of the work yourself." What a plan! Yes, the giraffe was certain the lion was right. He did need more leaves. So he signed up, and the lion was on his way. Soon after visiting a few neighbors, the giraffe realized that not many of them wanted to trade their leaves for what he had to offer. The giraffe became very discouraged and stopped trying to sell altogether. The lion was certainly a good salesman, he thought, something I am definitely not. If I can't make more leaves, then I guess I need to be more careful with the leaves I do have. But how do I make it through a whole growing season? Distraught again, he slumped down below his tree and cried. "Why the long face, long neck?" asked a small chipmunk passing by. "I don't have enough leaves and I can't earn more," the giraffe cried. "I tracked everything like the elephant told me to do. I tried to sell like the lion told me to do, but it was no use. I need to make it through the whole growing season, but I don't know how." The chipmunk scurried around the giraffe's tree. "Well, where are your saved leaves?" she asked. "Saved leaves?" replied the giraffe. "I don't have any saved leaves." Shaking her head in disapproval, the chipmunk continued. Saving is the most important thing you can do. You won't have to earn more leaves if you just save what you already have. To make it easy, you can just save 1 leaf the first day, 2 leaves the second day, 3 leaves the third day, and so on. By the end of the growing season, you'll have hundreds of saved leaves. That seemed like a great idea. The giraffe would never go hungry again if he had hundreds of saved leaves. This chipmunk was completely right. With a thanks from the excited giraffe, the chipmunk was on her way. When the growing season began, the giraffe did just what the chipmunk had said to do. He saved 1 leaf the first day and 2 leaves the second day. But after a month, he was out of leaves on his tree. It was impossible to save 30 leaves a day and still have enough to eat. Luckily, he had his stored leaves, but even those ran out quickly. The chipmunk was a great saver, he thought, and saving is a good idea, but she wanted me to save something I don't even have. Her plan didn't help me get through 1 growing season, let alone forever. So how do I make it through a whole growing season? Distraught again, he slumped down below his tree and cried. Why the long face, long neck? Asked a jay flying by. I don't have enough leaves. I can't earn more leaves. I don't even have enough leaves to save, the giraffe cried. I tracked everything like the elephant told me to do. I tried to sell like the lion told me to do. I tried to save like the chipmunk told me to do, but it was no use. I need to make it through the whole growing season, but I don't know how. Well, explained the jay, you need to budget your leaves. I thought that is what I have been doing, snapped the frustrated giraffe. Not exactly, replied the jay. You need to organize the leaves you have. Make up different boxes of leaves for each of the ways you use them. Put only what you will need into those boxes. Then you need some self-control. If the box is empty, you just have to wait until the next growing season before you can use those kinds of leaves again. This made sense. What a great way to be organized and help with self-control. There was no way that the giraffe would mess this one up. He got to work right away making boxes for his leaves and labeling them for each reason he might need them throughout the season. Meals, friends, birthdays, holidays, sick days, rent, charities. You get the idea. When the next growing season began, he picked every single leaf from his tree and put each of them in their designated boxes. This was working great. Things were finally looking up for the giraffe. Until one day when he had to miss a picnic because all of his picnic leaves had already been used up. Then there was another time when he couldn't give his friend a birthday gift because all of his birthday leaves were spent on other friends. But overall, the plan wasn't too bad, and it was much better than the other animals' suggestions. A few growing seasons came and went, and he had pretty much stuck to the jay's plan. This was the first time anything had worked for more than 1 season. But it started to be a very tedious plan. There were so many boxes and leaves to keep track of. The giraffe didn't want to spend all his time dealing with so much organizing. He also found he wasn't that great at guessing how many leaves he would need in each box. He couldn't plan for every little thing beforehand. The jay was a great organizer, thought the giraffe, but I can't spend all of my time worrying about leaves and boxes. It did get me through a whole growing season, but it isn't really making me happy. So how do I make it through growing seasons for the rest of my life while still being happy? Distraught again, he slumped down below his tree and cried. And cried. And cried. No one came to his rescue this time. No free advice was offered by any passers-by. He knew there was still something missing, but he was going to have to figure this out for himself. So he thought back to all of the things he had tried already. Elephant taught me to keep track of what I use, but that's not enough on its own. Lion made me realize I need to be more careful with the leaves that I do have because it's not so easy coming up with more. But that's not enough on its own. Chipmunk helped me see that I need to save, but only how much I can afford to save and not expect the impossible. But that's not enough on its own. Jay showed me that organizing my expenses into categories makes things more manageable. But even that's not enough on its own. While sitting, staring at the pile of boxes that once held his leaves, the giraffe wondered how he could combine all of these ideas to make one big idea that would actually work. He wished he could combine the boxes to simplify all the keeping track that Elephant wanted him to do. Well, why not? He thought. Why couldn't he simplify things by combining some of these boxes? He didn't need to take meticulous notes on all of these leaves that he knew had the same amount going in and out every single growing period. Could those all be set aside in one big box instead of each having their own? He reached his long neck up to the branches and began pulling leaves off his tree. He put leaves in one big box for every obligation that he knew he had to cover. Tree rent, termite insurance, student loans for giraffe school, all put into the box. He even put in some leaves he wanted to save for later, thanks to the chipmunk's suggestions. Could this possibly work? Hopeful for the first time, the giraffe looked back at his tree. He could see that there were actually several leaves left on the branches. The giraffe thought out loud to himself, "See, I do have enough leaves. I just have to be careful so the rest of these can get me to the next growing period." Well, that was short-lived excitement because he wasn't sure what to do next. Simplifying part of the problem made many more questions arise. What now? What should he do with the leftover leaves? Was there enough to last him the whole season? How was he going to keep track of these? Was this even going to work at all? Slumping once again below his tree, worried that he hadn't figured things out after all, he decided that he was tired of being an adult giraffe. Life was so much easier before I grew up, he thought. When I was a kid, I just got a leaf allowance every week from my parents. It didn't matter what I spent it on because I always knew I'd get more the next week. Then it hit him. That was it. What if he took all the leftover leaves and divided them into equal amounts for each week in the season? This way, he would be sure not to run out too soon. He would give himself a weekly allowance just like his parents used to give him. He would still have to be careful with how he used his leaves and make sure he didn't go over his allowance, but he would also have the freedom and power to choose how to spend these leaves without any guilt, because he knew they were there for him to use. More importantly, he knew that there were enough leaves for the next week and the week after. So that is what our giraffe did. He took the best ideas from each of the animals, including himself, and made his leaves work for him. He still had to make good choices, and he still had to make some sacrifices, but he lived guilt-free and stress-free, at least as far as his leaves went, from then on. And that is how he became the Happy Giraffe.